Hello, I'm Sue Romanoff from Edison Group. Today I have the pleasure of catching up with Gunnar Olsson, CEO of IRLAB. Welcome, Gunnar.
Thank you very much.
So CNS is a really tough nut to crack, really, and Alzheimer's, which is a common topic in CNS, and it's in the headlines all the time, hasn't seen much movement. Why is CNS so challenging, and why have you decided to focus on Parkinson's disease?
Well, I think that drug development in the CNS area, it is complex because of the great complexity of the brain, the organ that we are going to affect with new treatments. But having said this, I think that when we look at drug development, the probability of success for a project is very similar to most other therapy areas. With regard to our focus on Parkinson, well, this is due to the fact that the core group of researchers in the company, they are coming out of the research team around Professor Arvid Carlsson. Arvid Carlsson, who received the Nobel Prize for all his research in the field of Parkinson's disease, and especially around pathophysiology. So building on that deep understanding and knowledge on Parkinson and pathophysiology, we think that we have a good ground and a good starting point. In parallel with this, we have also built our own platform, the ISP, for discovery of new molecules. And that has generated our portfolio of now 5 compounds in development.
So there's been quite a bit of clinical and regulatory news flow on your primary asset, potentially phase 3 ready mesdopetam. Could you help us better understand the importance of your efforts, your clinical data, and your approach relative to what's been available on the market to date?
I think that with mesdopetam, we will potentially have a new effective and well-tolerated drug to treat levodopa-induced dyskinesia, one of the most difficult to treat complications of Parkinson. This is also important to realize that it affects 25 to 40% of those with Parkinson, representing around 1.4 million people. Our phase 2b study that was completed earlier this year showed a very clear and dose-dependent anti-dyskinetic effect, as well as an anti-Parkinsonian effect by mesdopetam. And this with a safety profile that was excellent, actually on par with placebo. This profile is unique, since the only available treatment today for LIDs, that is a treatment that suffers from a lot of safety problems. Actually, today, only less than 50% can be treated with the available therapy. So we believe that mesdopetam has the potential to fill a very major unmet medical need in those having Parkinson.
So what's your objective with the phase 2b pirepemat studies?
Well, in our phase 2b study, we are evaluating different doses of pirepemat with regard to efficacy in reducing the risk of falls. Falls being one of the most common symptoms in Parkinson. Actually, it is the symptom that patients fear the most. Today, there is no available therapy. In addition to study the effect on falls, we are also going to evaluate effect on neuropsychiatric symptoms coupled to Parkinson. We will also look at safety tolerability. And last, we will of course see in this dose finding study if we can select the dose to be used in phase 3 testing.
So let's go back to your ISP platform. You kind of mentioned it earlier. Is all that data being collected for Parkinson's disease? And do you view material synergies to your key efforts and your overall portfolio?
The ISP is a unique platform that we have developed. It's been developed over the last 30 years by including all information we have generated in preclinical as well as clinical testing of known molecules as well as unknown molecules. It can be used for very many different CNS symptomatologies, and that means that it can, of course, be used in Parkinson, but it can also be used for other CNS diseases. By utilizing the information gathered during the last decades, coupled with very powerful computing, we can select compounds for the certain type of symptoms that we want to treat. One could say that we are using phenotypic screening by a systems biology approach coupled with powerful computing.
Yeah, I think you have a lot going on here. So maybe you could recap with some key milestones and catalysts that investors should look for in the next 12 to 18 months.
Well, if I look at the next 18 months, we have a very exciting period ahead of us. First, with mesdopetam, we are heading for an end of phase 2 meeting with the FDA to define the phase 3 program for the product. With pirepemat, we will complete the study that is ongoing, and we will be able to deliver the top-line results of the study. And for the compound 757 and the 942, we are close to being phase 1 ready, and they will, of course, enter into phase 1. And for the last one, 1117, we will also get into phase 1 readiness and then start phase 1. So this is what's happening in the R&D part of the company. Parallel to this, we have a lot of activities on the business development side, and that means that we are talking with other companies and groups regarding collaborations and potential out-licensing. Our near-term focus lies upon mesdopetam and the 942 and 757 compounds. So, as I mentioned, we have a very exciting period ahead of us.
So thank you, Gunnar, for your attention and your effort on such an important area. Thank you all for joining us here today. If you'd like to learn more about IRLAB, please refer to edisongroup.com. Thank you.